Six Underground is directed by Michael Bay and is a direct-to-Netflix film. Stars Ryan Reynolds and a bunch of other people. And this movie is about a team of people who are doing missions. They're actually dead on paper. They've now decided to do whatever they want to do with their lives, which is basically to take down governments and whatever. And they've got a mission to do. And they have a new member on team and action stuff. I mean it. Action stuff. The first 20 minutes of this movie are a car chase. So last year, my friend was in Italy and he posted this thing on Instagram. He sent it to me also. And it's this video right here. That's from the first scene of the movie, and right around that time, I knew exactly what I was getting into. This movie is bonkers. The first half of this entire film is breakneck paced. I mean, Jesus, but I don't mean that necessarily in a good way. Like, the first half hour goes by like this. It's basically, it starts with a chase scene, there's a bunch of action, and you cut over, and then there's this new character suddenly that comes in, and it's like, well, we're 30 minutes in. How do we just traverse 30 minutes in the last, feels like 5 minutes? That was a fast-paced 30 minutes right there. I say it was not always in a good way, though, because it's such a scatterbrained first act, and even a first half of a movie for that matter. They're setting up so much, and they're trying to tell all these stories and get all of it cohesively together. But honestly, a lot of it is just so incredibly disjointed and so insane that it makes for a very messy viewing. The second half of the movie, though, is more story-based, and there is a simple plot, very simple plot going on, and the film comes together a lot better, and at least is some pretty great stuff. That's the best, that hour of the film. The second hour of the film is really what's awesome. That first hour, though, is just pretty tedious, if I'm being completely honest with you. But honestly, if even more honest, if I may, who gives a fuck what I think about this movie critically? I mean, this is a movie where in the first 7 minutes, you've got car crashes, a car chase going on, spectacular special effects, Michael Bay's oversaturated cinematography. Sometimes you just have to give in to full Michael Bay, and this movie is full Michael Bay. In fact, this might be the most Michael Bay movie ever made, and I would honestly make a case for that. You think Transformers Age of Extinction was the most he ever got, or even The Last Night. Nothing compared to what happens in this movie. This movie just goes balls to the wall insane, and it just is relentless from that point forward. You don't get a lot with characters. You don't get a lot of their stories. You get almost nothing with Ryan Reynolds. They keep hinting at something throughout the film, but you barely get anything as you're approaching the finish line. But again, it's hard to critique a film like this because this is just relentless bait. But if I was to look at it critically and if I was to judge it in that perspective, yeah, it's not a great film. There's a lot of issues. It's not the best directed. It's very shaky cam, choppily edited stuff again. There's some gorgeous cinematography and brilliant visual effects, but that is something you've come to expect from a Michael Bay movie. Those are there in abundance throughout the entire 2 hour and 8 minute runtime. The only thing about it is that I wish, like, it was just, there was more I could see of it. Because there's so many quick edits, and unnecessarily, I might add, that I couldn't get a chance to appreciate some of the really fantastic stuff that was on display and looked absolutely gorgeous. There's this scene with magnets on a boat where the entire thing turns into a magnet. That was awesome. There's this scene in a building, which was a really cool. That might have been my favorite scene in the movie. They're carrying out this target transfer, and it's probably the best scene of the film. There's this really great thing with Ben Hardy, I believe his name is. That was fantastic. There's this scene really early on in the film where a car goes flying into the air, splits in half, and a guy comes jumping out of it in a very stylistic death. Some stuff like that throughout the film is there. This is a very bloody movie, actually. And I love that. There's something so guilty pleasure about it. And that's something about Michael Bay that I've always just had a fun time with. Most of his films are big guilty pleasures, and in those regards, I've really enjoyed those movies. You know, that's the reason I own all five Transformers movies on Blu-ray. It's just, I mean, Bumblebee excluded, but that's not him. That the reason is because I just like the fact that these movies just go for it. And they just have fun with what they've got. There is something very compelling about that if we're being completely honest with ourselves. All that being said, while it is a very fun, entertaining movie in its own regard, Six Underground's still a mess. That first half is very messy. The second half is a bit better, but overall the film is still a very scatterbrained experiment of blow shit up. And that's, yeah. I'm gonna give Six Underground a 5.5 out of 10. On a guilty pleasure scale, though, I'd give this like a 9, 9.5. Like, as a guilty pleasure, it's amazing. But as a competent film, not quite as much. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Look forward to more reviews very soon. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe. And I'll see you guys at the movies.